Commonwealth have any evidence?
Yes, Judge, I would call Trudy Goetz.
All right, Ms. Goetz. Stop there. Face the clerk. Raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
And if you have a seat up here, please.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Goetz. And you're the victim in this case, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
You were the victim in this case, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
And you prepared a victim impact statement you'd like to read, is that right?
Yes.
Can you read that to the court, please?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Justin. Your horrific acts on January 25th, 2019 harmed and changed many lives. It devastated our family and our loved ones, and it brought irreparable damage to the community who lost confidence of feeling safe within the confines of their own home. But despite the lasting physical and emotional scars, we will continue to live each day with love and freedom that is afforded us. As a result of your actions that day, you literally forfeited your freedoms, and you will no longer have an opportunity to do such things as be with your family, get in the car and take a ride, decide what to eat, where to go, when to sleep, or even what to wear. You've shown no remorse, and without remorse, there can be no rehabilitation. And without rehabilitation, there is only recidivism. You've learned nothing after having shot into our home. And that's evidenced by the fact that after this case was still processed in December of 2021, 9 months later you were in jail in New Hampshire. And eventually, for 46 felonies, some of which included criminal restraint, second-degree assault, kidnapping, extortion, and other crimes. Your record reveals a rather brutal and self-centered disregard for others. And I think that's a danger to society. So my personal opinion is that you should not be afforded the opportunity to harm, torment, or bring death to another person. But despite everything, I have chosen to forgive you. That's because I serve an awesome God. However, my forgiveness does not negate the fact that justice must be done, nor does it negate the weight of the situation and the consequences of it from that fateful day. And I sincerely pray that you will come to understand that even though you're not going to have the freedoms that the outside world provides, there's a far greater freedom, a spiritual freedom that comes from Jesus Christ. God's love, mercy, grace, and redeeming power is available to you so that you can experience something you may have never experienced in your life, where there will be such an inner peace and contentment. So while my forgiveness doesn't benefit you, I will continue to pray for you as I have been, that you will someday get on your knees, call out to the Lord, and seek the forgiveness that He will give you. Now the next statement is going to be the most important thing that I said. And it's going to be tough to get through this. After 6 very, very painful years, my dear grandson Brian wrote a note that he wanted to give to you. So I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said, Justin, I don't want to hate you. But he has for 6 years. He's been in such emotional pain. He says, I want to forgive you. He says, if Erica Kirk can forgive the man that killed her husband, then I can choose to forgive you. He said, so I pray that you will seek Jesus and you will be forgiven, and someday we can be together in heaven as the new us. And he said that because if you really turn to the Lord and receive God's forgiveness, you will be a new person. And he said us because when he's in heaven, he will no longer suffer from autism. We praise that God is with you, and God bless you.
No other questions?
Any questions?
Take your own.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other evidence from the Commonwealth?
That's the conversation.
Any evidence from the defense?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Commonwealth wishes to be heard.
Yes, Your Honor. Judge, the defendant before the court, having committed the most serious crime under Virginia law, the Class 1 felony of aggravated murder. He's before the court on 5 total offenses, of course. Aggravated murder, which is a Class 1 felony. Aggravated malicious wounding, a Class 2 felony. Attempted robbery, a Class 4 felony because of the attempt. And 2 counts of use of a firearm, carrying in mandatory minimum time on those charges. The defendant's terrible plan in this case has earned every day of his available sentences, and therefore the Commonwealth is asking for every day of his available sentences to be ordered as active incarceration. For aggravated murder, we ask the court to follow the statute and sentence to life without parole, without any good conduct allowance or any earned sentence credits, without the possibility of conditional release. For aggravated malicious wounding of Trudy Goetz, we ask the court for life. This life sentence is discretionary, of course, but based on the facts of the case. The evil that is shooting an innocent woman multiple times in her home, the only sentence for that level of terror and violations of the sanctity of Trudy Goetz's home is life. For the attempted robbery, of course, attempted robbery is what put all this into motion. That was his terrible plan. 10 years is the max for that. We would ask for the 10 years. Those are the events that led to the death of Doris Puleio and the injury of Trudy Goetz, and so we ask for the max, which is 10 years. For use of firearm first offense, the 3-year mandatory minimum, of course, provided by statute, but it's also appropriate. For use of a firearm second offense, the 5-year mandatory minimum is appropriate. So in total, our total ask, we ask for life without parole, plus life, plus 18 years, 8 of which is a mandatory minimum sentence. We ask the court to run these sentences consecutively. The reason we ask for this is that will allow our living victim, Trudy Goetz, her family, and our community to feel safe in our homes, as was mentioned in her victim impact statement, that was robbed of her. According to the statute, of course, we ask the court for 3 additional years, pursuant to 19.295.2, to be suspended on condition that he be placed on probation. So we're asking for the absolute maximum length of incarceration that the court can impose in this case, and we're asking for it all to run consecutively.
All right, Mr. Brewer.
Your Honor, the court really is one sentence. It's life without parole. Everything else that the Commonwealth asks for basically pales in comparison to that. We just ask the court to take that into account. There are some other maximums or mandatory minimums that the court has to impose. But I think that the life without parole plus the mandatory minimum is appropriate in this case. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Sales, would you please stand and serve? Mr. Sales, having found you guilty of aggravated murder, aggravated malicious wounding, attempted robbery, shooting into an occupied building, 2 counts of use of a firearm and commission of a felony. Before I sentence you in accordance with the law, is there anything you wish to say?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ku Allahu ahad al-samad lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad.
I don't speak that language. You want to translate it for me? You just want to leave it at that. All right, sir?
Best representation from the Quran.
All right, sir. This court, as Commonwealth has pointed out, the maximum sentence for these offenses is 2 life sentences, 1 which is not eligible for parole at all. It's also been 28 years in addition to that. I could also fine you up to $300,000. On the charge of aggravated murder, you're sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. On the charge of aggravated malicious wounding, you're sentenced to 40 years in prison with 20 years suspended. On the charge of attempted robbery, you're sentenced to 5 years in prison. On the charge of shooting into an occupied building, you're sentenced to 5 years in prison. On the first use of a firearm and commission of a felony, you're sentenced to 3 years in mandatory minimum sentence. On the second charge of possession of a firearm and commission of a felony, you're sentenced to 5 years in prison. Totally, that sentence is life plus 58 years. 20 years is suspended, so the active sentence is life plus 38 years. In terms of conditions that suspend the sentence, you can be good behavior for life. You ever get out of prison, you can submit to DNA, fingerprinting, and there are court costs associated with this, but that's the least of your concerns. He's in custody. Mr. Sales, before you go, you have the right to appeal the decision of this court. If you want to appeal, I'll appoint Mr. Bruin as well as Mr. Wetzel to represent you on that appeal. You have to put your appeal within 30 days.
All rise.